Nate Brown is an 18-year volunteer firefighter in Mauston. He faced termination this year over a complaint that he was insubordinate. But some Mauston residents say the investigation was a case of city officials going too far. News 8 Now's Ken Kozarowski has the story.
On April 5 of 2021, Nate Brown responded to a fire call and he got on the fire truck. And when Jordan Wilkie got on that fire truck, Nate Brown got off.
The other fireman, Wilkie, worked at City Hall and knew Commission Chair Brian McGuire and City Administrator Randy Rieg. Those relationships had some in the fire department referring to Wilkie as the Mole.
There was a meeting of the PFC where he stood up and he said if he found out who was calling him the Mole, he would burn the guy.
You're supposed to be able to respect your brothers. They should have your back at all times. And when someone says that, you think twice or three times about being in a situation with him on scene.
Wilkie received a written reprimand. Brown got one too for getting off the truck.
I don't think it's right that anybody that makes a threat to burn a fellow fireman, his brother's blood, should be allowed to be on the fire.
Fast forward to September of last year for a call to clear spilled sand off a railroad track. As usual, all 33 volunteer firemen get the call, but only a few actually need to be on hand for it. And since all have full-time jobs elsewhere,
if a truck's rolled and they don't need another one, we're going to go back to work.
He concluded that there were enough people to handle this fire call, and he was in the middle of a plumbing job that he didn't want to stop because he had other people working there. So he didn't get on the truck. He was written up for that one.
Any written reprimand usually has to come within a couple weeks of an incident. Brown didn't get one until November 9th.
But what's particularly interesting is that Mr. Reed sent out an email on October 6th between the event of September 20th and the issuance of the reprimand. And in that email, he said, this has now been far too long from the date of the incident to take management action.
That same night, Brown was off duty having a drink downtown and saw Wilkie, City Administrator Rieg, and PFC Chair McGuire. As Rieg recalls,
He leered at me and stared at me in a manner that appeared to be like he was trying to intimidate me.
McGuire headed over to Brown.
He asked me what was the matter, and I told him that I prefer not to talk to you.
That's not profane, that's not aggressive, that's not insulting, that's not insubordinate.
The next day, McGuire was on a run, using a trail that cuts by Brown's family plumbing business. McGuire said it's a route he's used plenty of times before because he knew Brown's dad. Brown headed to the end of the driveway.
He yelled at me to stay off of his property as I was running towards him.
If you're caught on the property again, I'm going to consider it trespass.
Because it was so out of character, as I got back here, I thought, I'm going to stop and document this.
Did you feel at all at any point physically threatened by Nate?
No. I should report it to the police chief because it felt like the situation was escalating.
Rieg brought in Police Chief Zilich and later Fire Chief Hale to investigate. Both testified that Brown violated policies in the Mauston Employee Handbook.
I didn't really want to, but I decided I had to.
You think that he didn't exercise professionalism, competence, respect, and loyalty in the performance of his duties as a fireman when he told somebody on private property, I don't want you here anymore?
Yes.
Mauston's Employee Handbook has a list of major infractions that can trigger termination. Insubordination is one of them, but the conduct has to be serious, extreme, or outrageous in nature.
And this is a pretty important case because you've got a whole pile of firefighters in the room who want to know whether this is the kind of conduct that makes them at risk for being terminated as firemen.
The commission makes that decision using this guide from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, finding evidence of the infraction, judging whether the employee knew the consequences, and whether the proposed penalty is reasonable.
It might have been maybe not the biggest conduct in the world, but that was conduct which was intentionally showing disrespect to those folks because of their position they held with the city.
You got a firefighter who got mad over something. Let's get rid of him. Let's fire that guy. I hope none of the other firefighters ever get mad about anything.
And after a half hour of closed session talks, the commission found evidence for insubordination, but not termination.
The PFC finds that an appropriate discipline would be a 30-day suspension effective immediately.
If it would have went the other way, do I think you have 33 guys on the department? I say no.
Brown has since fulfilled his 30-day suspension. The League of Wisconsin Municipalities says police and fire commissions exist to separate those departments from local politics. But residents say city officials broke through that separation of powers and the commission allowed it. Ken will dig into those claims in a follow-up story later this week.